Alright guys, it's another video of the BH. So Genesis Sedan 12 5.0 R-spec. So really anything '09 to 14 will kind of pertain to this. So this is the Naviguide 13.3-inch Android unit. I've gotten a couple of questions on this on other videos, not really talking about it. So I figured I would make a little short, but maybe a little bit deeper dive into this unit itself. So I guess the first thing we're going to talk about is the actual unit, the physical part of it. It is very big. It's bigger than really most tablets. So tablets are about 10 inches. This one is 13-inch across. Of course, that's going to be the dimension from basically from this corner to over there. But essentially it mimics Tesla style, so it's not incredibly you know like it's not really monstrous, but it is fairly big, especially for a head unit inside the car. We'll talk about my pros and cons. This is definitely one of the more controversial portion of it. Of course, size is subjective, so some people may like it, some people may not like it, but I actually tend to like the size of it because when you use the GPS, it's very visible and not like that. First, let's talk about the actual unit itself. So this is a very typical Android unit. Works flawlessly with Android Auto as well as Apple CarPlay. I did test it out with another friend's iPhone, and it worked flawlessly. You just basically connect to it via Bluetooth, and then it works really well. And of course all of that can be done wirelessly. This particular one I believe runs on Android 12, I believe. And on some of them you can update those, so just kind of depend on what you're looking for. But essentially it's kind of your run-of-the-mill Android unit. Of course you got your Play Store here, and then you can choose to put whatever apps that you want to do. So the typical thing for this one, I guess, or the specific thing for this one, or the unique thing about this one, is it is a true split screen. So of course I chose for this one to be the navigation. I just kind of put Houston on there, but essentially if you want to go to Houston, basically they'll tell you. I do like the size of this screen, again, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, because once you put it on navigation, it's definitely very, very big, and I really, really like that. And then of course down here you have your radio. This just kind of tells the time. It's I think the Teslas have this where the actual car actually moves. Obviously this is just for show. This car right here, you cannot change the picture. It just kind of stays like that. um, and of course this one is the 2K screen. So it's basically high def, obviously. But this one is not the 1270, so it's the step up from that. So 2K basically, so not 4K, but 2K, and that really helps on a bigger screen like this. So the resolution on this one is something that I really like. It's got 6 gigs of RAM, and it is the octa-core, so it's got 8 core, 6 gigs of RAM. Now the storage on it is not that big because it does have a USB port, so I figured I'd just run some external storage, and I didn't want to spend the money on the actual storage itself. Next, let's talk about the different graphic user interface on here. So you can go to the home app, and then basically this is menu. That was the menu that's in the middle here, so you kind of have like a different type of screen if you wanted to. um, I really like this one because it changes colors. So it's got this thing like where the background basically is blue, now it's changed to green, and then here in a second it's going to change to this brownish color, and then it goes to like a burgundy kind of color, and it goes to green. So it's really cool. I like it. Then I think it'll do blue too at one point, and then like a purple. So I like that actually. It's pretty cool. So it's not very boring. And of course the last one. Oops, sorry. Let me go here. Go to settings. that last one is basically this one. This one is all right, but essentially, it kind of shows the same thing. It's just basically a different layout. Of course, you can, if you wanted to change the wallpaper and all that, you can do that. This is all the apps. Let's see, where is the wallpaper? Maybe it's under settings actually. Oh, here we go. Go to display. You go to wallpaper. You can basically change the wallpaper if you wanted to. I'm sorry, it's not it. Here we go, wallpapers. So you can kind of change things if you want to. So you see, they did change the background. So um, all right, now let's talk about some of the apps that I've put on here. Of course, this portion right here, different people is going to be using different apps. So just know that you have the Play Store. You can literally put any type of apps you want on here. Obviously, one of the main reasons why I wanted to change to an Android as opposed to the stock radio is because the stock radio, and I have the R-spec, so I have the tech package. That means I have the navigation with the screen, and of course, I have the center DIS knob. It just sucked. You can't get live maps. The maps was super slow. Of course, like just entering stuff. I didn't have the touch screen, so I have to work with the knobs and the buttons to put in addresses. I mean, it'd probably take you 5-10 minutes to enter an address. This is just so much better. You can just do whatever you want with this. The gas station, and then it'll show you the different gas stations. So you can go there and then add stop. Go to that type of stuff. Obviously, it's got voice command too, if you really wanted to do that. But some of the apps that I've used for this, of course, again, this is specific for me. One of the things about the BH is, though it does have TPMS and warning for low pressure for tire, it does not actually read the actual pressure of each tire like the DH, so the 2015 and up. So I did have like an external TPMS. So basically, the way this works is it's just something you put on the outside of the tires, and then of course it reads it individually here. These are actually pretty accurate because I've put several different gauges on there just to kind of test fit and see what the X factor is, and it's pretty accurate. So this really comes in handy because I am lowered. I have low profile tires that are really stretched. So yeah, so I actually like this. So I don't have to wait for it to be super low for it to ding. I know exactly, each pressure. So I do have a front camera. Again, I'm lowered, so basically I have a front lip as well. So this is very handy whenever I'm parking. Again, I don't have to get out of the car like I used to without this. So I basically have a camera set up in the front there. Let's see here. Let's see what else. So a car, this is probably one of the ones that I use on this car fairly often. This is to track all of the maintenance that you're doing on here. I've actually had this for a while, and I had it on my other cars. I've had several Genesis sedan, as you can see, and now we have a DH as well. So, but anyways, this is your reminders, and basically this tells you what you need to do. So, of course, I have this is GDI, so I do fuel system, just that Chevron, Techron stuff that I put in every so often. Of course, engine oil, I do AMSOIL. And then oil filter, because the AMSOIL lasts so long, I like to change the actual filter, not at the same interval as the oil, because the oil will last a long time, but the OEM filter isn't really designed to go that long. Let's see here, and then let's see, we can go through the apps here. Of course, you have torque if you really want to do that, but I have an OBD. So OBD, a HUD, heads up display, so I don't really use that, but you could use that if you wanted to. VLC player. Of course, you have like YouTube and all that stuff you're referring to. I do have alarm.com on here. This is like my home security and home automation app. I do like it because I don't want to fumble through the app, and I really just wanted to see like what's going on at the doorbell, or whatnot. I guess I can, do that. So you can do this. You can start the footage, I guess, from like if you're from far away, if you really wanted to see that, I guess. Um, let's see here. What else? Really for the apps, I mean, I just used the maps, and that's I mean that's pretty much it. And then the TPMS, um, and I mean this got Netflix and of course your radio and all that. It does link up with Android Auto with Z-Link 5. That's the app that comes with the actual unit for the connection for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. All right, a lot of questions that's been popping up also is, does the and this is really specifically for this car, the challenges that we've been having with this car as it pertains to putting the Android aftermarket head unit is basically because the original screen, the OEM screen, shows the HVAC display, and it's actually hardwired from this unit right here. You can't see my hand, but from the actual HVAC controls. So how does it display that to this new screen? Of course, that's via the CAN bus decoder. Again, most sellers will sell that with this unit because again, it's basically like a brick without that. I mean, it'll work, it'll power up, but without the CAN bus decoder, basically there's no communication, and then you also won't have steering wheel control. So for like the older cars, you would have the steering wheel control. Basically, you just connect it from the harness. Usually it's the brown wire, and then basically you just learn it. You press the button, and then you learn it, and then that's it. But on these, it's actually through the CAN bus decoder. So I'm going to show you basically, how that works. So you connect the CAN bus decoder. You have to basically go to settings for your steering wheel control, and for the HVAC to display. This is what you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to go to car settings. You're going to have to go to factory settings. Let me focus here. Okay, so I do know that mine is basically quadruple zero. And then here, where you're going to go is basically here at the CAN settings right here. And then here, the CAN bus type. Now, once you press here, there's going to have several different ones, like 50 or so. But you're just going to have to pick. Yeah, it's kind of trial and error, but you're going to know because obviously you want it to be the same manufacturer. So there's one here for Nazira. There's one here for Peugeot, Honda. I don't know why in the world they just don't do this from the factory, because this one was specifically made for our car because it came with the bezel. But I don't know. But anyways, this is basically the one that works for it. And essentially, um, because of that, what's able to happen is when I press my steering wheel control, basically, it works. So I can I'm pressing my steering wheel control. So, and then also, here, let me do this so you can see. Once I press this, it basically shows the display. And that goes for the mode and all that. It'll basically, obviously, it'll show the mode. So obviously, I want it to be there, and then of course the AC, whether you want it or not. So obviously, we want AC. It's hot as hell over here. So that's basically how that works and how you're able to get the HVAC controls. All right, so now the most important part of the video, the pros and the cons. So the pros, again, this is subjective, but I do like the size of this. Again, it's very big. I love it. When talking about um, the navigation basically, and getting somewhere, and basically not being distracted because you have to squint to really look at it. I did have a 9-inch or like an 8-inch, I think, display on here. It was also an Android. Nothing wrong with the unit, but I saw this and really wanted to try it out, and definitely no regrets there. I do really love the speed of this unit. I mean, it's very fast. Again, this is octa-core, 6 gigs of RAM. I think they even have one that you can do with 8 gigs of RAM. So definitely, I would not recommend anything lower than 6 gigs of RAM, and also lower than octa-core, because they do have some that are like 4 cores. And some that are like 4 gigs of RAM. Again, I would try to really stray away from those. So the speed, is really good. The apps, obviously that's not, to this unit. That's really any Android unit. You can put whatever apps you want. So obviously I do love the apps and being able to, see the actual TPMS, being able to, put in like that front camera, which would have been very challenging to do on the stock R-spec navigation. And really those are about it. Of course, the VLC player, again, being able to watch stuff as the car is rolling. You basically, on the stock unit, they do have a video in motion kit that you can get. But again, back in the day, those were like $1,500. I'm not really sure. But anyways, by the time you spend all that money, might as well get an Android system for sure. And of course, I did have to do a lot of things to retain the main functions on this car. Notably the rear backup camera, which obviously I put in an aftermarket camera, so to make the wiring work, but it basically works, so it's all good there, and the camera is super clear, and yeah, being able to have all the apps, and and of course, one of the big things I really like about this specific unit is how it looks basically when the unit is off. I love that you don't see any buttons. There's no buttons anywhere. Like, it's super clean. It looks like it's basically kind of like stock. So that's definitely one of the things that I like about it. Um, yeah. And now we are going to talk about some of the things that I do not like about it. And actually, I do have quite a bit of list on that. All right, so some of the things that I do not like about this unit, there's definitely a small list. So going back to the size, it's great that it's huge, but also because of the sheer size, it actually you can't see the AC light button, and also all these mode buttons for the HVAC control. You literally would have to, like, right now I have to like bend down to see this. So when you're driving, you can't see it. So that is definitely kind of one of the cons. Of course, once I kind of feel this out, I see it on the screen. But again, like, it's good just to kind of see, like, okay, is the AC actually on? And you because of this unit, because of the 13-inch version, like, you can't see that light, you can't see that light, you can't see the dual, you can't see that button. I don't even know what the hell that is, but basically the defrost and the rear windshield, you can't see any of those. You can't see the clock, but again, like all the other stuff I mentioned, you can't see it. So that's kind of it's a little bit annoying sometimes, but it's not a deal breaker. Another thing that I actually don't like about this software is that, and it's really just this particular one, I contacted the seller and I was wanting to see if I can do a boot up logo, which is something that you can usually see on like the main settings for most other Android units. So if you go to factory settings, my phone, by the way, has like a big issue of focusing. So usually, on the logo settings or the boot up, boot animation, really on other units, you can change those. On this one, you can't. They sent me an email, said that there's basically it's locked for copyright software issues. So, I mean, I would really love to change this to a GIF that's like, or like a PNG. I'm sorry, the PNG that's like like a BH sedan, like a black one. That would be nice, but you can't change it. I'm sure there's some ways to hack it, but I don't know how to do all that. So again, it's kind of a bummer that you can't get into those and change the boot up logo. So if you notice, when I turned it back on, you basically have the regular Android boot up animation. I really, really wish that we could, like, change that. Now there is another unit that's 13 inches, because this one it's no longer available on AliExpress. But I'm hoping if that other one is available, then it has that features that I can change it. And those are really just like a couple of gripes that I have about the unit. Other than that, really, as far as like speed, performance, the outputs, and all that for audio, and video, and inputs for for like my cameras and stuff like that. It's been actually great. So that's really about it. People have been asking me to do an installation video. This wasn't an installation video. I didn't intend it to be. And since I already installed it, it's kind of hard and almost impossible to do one like that. But I am planning to, thinking about getting another BH as a daily driver, because I sold my actual daily driver about a year and a half ago. So I am on the hunt for like another BH. And once that happened, whether I have a stock one, like a stock radio, like a base model radio, or one with the navigation, then I do plan on doing an Android spot. At that time, I can do a video, for an installation for that. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.